Hello everyone. I don't know if you know this about me, but I play the violin. I've been playing it since I was 7 years old. And I know my parents are Russian immigrants, so they forced me to play the instrument. But ever since I chose the violin, I actually enjoy playing it. And practicing, even after all this time, has not gotten any easier. Today, I'd like to take you through one of my practices. So, just to start, I know you might not know all the parts of the violin, so I just want to show you. This here is called the bow, and it's basically the part that you put on the violin to make sound. There's a special part of the bow which is called the frog, and I honestly don't know why it's called that. And this is the violin itself. Here is sort of the body, so to speak. This is called the fingerboard, this black part. These two are called F-holes, which doesn't really sound very appropriate, but they're called that because they're shaped a little bit like an F, I hope. And these silver things are the strings. These are tuning pegs, as well as these, and they make sure that the strings have the correct pitch. This is where you put your chin, the chin rest. On the bottom, you can attach what's called a shoulder rest, so that it rests on your shoulder more comfortably. So now I think we're ready to begin practicing. And as much as I would really love to skip, I think it's important to practice, and my dad forces me to, so let's start. So, when I actually practice, I have a few different things that my teacher gives me to play. Most of it is to help me get ready to play my piece. The first thing I have to do is to tune, because the strings have to be at the right pitch. Basically, you get the strings to the right sound that you want them to be. Now, I've also got a couple of exercises to get my fingers and my bow arm ready to play and all warmed up and everything. One of those is to practice vibrato. And vibrato is when you vibrate on the string. Here I've got the metronome to help me keep a steady beat while I do the vibrations. Basically, the goal of this exercise is to get the fingers and the hand more relaxed and able to do the vibrato faster. Now, another thing I have to warm myself up are the scales. In this, I basically just go one note, then the next note, then the next note, and it gets higher up on the strings, and it's just to warm up the left hand and all the fingers on it. It also helps to maintain a straight bow as I'm playing the notes. I also play something called the etude, which is basically like a mini song, a mini piece that I play, and it helps me work on a certain part of playing the violin. Here, it's helping me to work on what's called a trill, which is basically when you quickly lift the finger up and down in order to make that sort of a sound. And sometimes what you do when the bow is more skidding across the string rather than setting into it really thickly is you add rosin to the bow hairs. This sort of more beige colored one is the bow hair. And they're actually made from horse hairs, which is, I guess, pretty interesting. And so you rub it on that horse hair. I'm sorry, I hope this doesn't sound that horrible through the phone. And what it does is it makes it more sticky so that when it goes on the string, it sets more thickly into the sound. And so, once I've done all those things in my practice, then I can play my piece. And I'm playing Concerto No. 1 in G minor, Opus 26 by Max Bruch, and I'm playing the second movement, basically the second part. It does have some fast sections, which I am working on now. One of the things my teacher likes to say is this concept of non-judgmental self-awareness, which sounds kind of complicated, but it's basically just, if you make a mistake, you be aware of it, but you don't have to judge yourself about it, which is a pretty interesting concept, and I try to do that. I try not to get frustrated, and I try to work through it. Obviously, it's not perfect yet, but I'm working on it. I'm trying to practice as much as possible. So, I'm really happy that I shared this part of my life with you and that I took you through one of my practices. And all in all, my parents forced me to practice and everything, and my dad makes sure I practice every day. And obviously, it's a bit of a pain and I have to force myself to do it, but I know that I'm very lucky to have this opportunity to play the violin, to have an instrument, to be able to express myself like this and to do something good with my life. I highly recommend that if you do have the opportunity to do this, do it. And I hope my dad's not listening, but I do recommend practicing an instrument. I know that I'm very lucky and very fortunate to have this instrument in my life.
Son!
Yes, Dad?
Are you still practicing?
Yes, I'm still practicing.
Good, because it's only been 45 minutes.
I'll keep practicing, don't worry. Yeah, I am very lucky. Well, goodbye. I'll see you next time, maybe in another practice.